Holycast. So freaking pod.
Holy Cast! The movie episode. Hooray!
So we all saw the movie, and I saw it twice for some reason.
Oh, you mentioned that at the first showing that you went to, they were handing out ties. Did you take one?
Of course I did.
What? They were handing out ties?
They were I went on the premiere night, and I didn't get into the first showing because it was all full. But I did get into the second showing at like 11 p.m. And they were handing out silver ties to people, and I got one.
Cool.
It's an alright tie, I guess.
Alright.
All the employees are wearing them too.
Oh, I feel bad for them.
Okay, so I went on the second night. I suppose it was Friday, not Thursday. Friday the 13th. And I went with my two best friends, and so it was like the three of us, and we got there at what you would think would be a reasonable time, but actually was not, because everybody else also wanted to see this movie. So the theater was packed already, and there's only like 3 seats next to each other in the second to the very frontmost row. So this is really bad for me, especially because I have various things wrong with me and I should not be that close to a movie screen. But I don't care, and I did it anyways, but it definitely impacted my viewing. Also, the audience was, like, really loud and really, really funny. They were always saying, like...
Oh, that makes me so mad. I know, like, it's fine if they're funny, but
yeah.
I just get pissed off. That's why I only go to one theater where, like, it's strictly forbidden.
Yeah, I remember. But, like, with this movie...
I get so mad.
I just felt like it was so appropriate with this movie because, like... Yeah, I don't know. It was so funny. And the things they said were so funny. I'll try to share them as we go through this.
It's definitely not like in the same league as any midnight movie, but the sort of thing that you could watch with your friends and make fun of and have a better time than watching it by yourself and hating yourself.
But I was glad that there weren't like couples in the theater being like, shh, do not laugh, like when all this stupid stuff was going on.
All the couples were too embarrassed that they were seeing the movie.
But like, no, it was mostly like a bunch of teenagers, honestly, and then some other older women. Like,
how did these teenagers get into this R movie?
That's a great question. I don't know. Like 18-year-olds, though. They might have been very young-looking 18-year-olds.
Look, you know you want to see the 50 Shades movie. You know the whole family does. Let's get a pizza. Let's make a night of it.
Let's get a pizza. Let's make a night of it.
Everybody put a pizza slice in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah, smuggle it in.
Like, I think when me and Chad went, it was on Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was mostly couples.
Yeah.
I didn't really get a good look because I was late because I went to the wrong theater.
What about the first night? Was it like a lot of couples?
The first night, there was like 4 or 5 couples.
That's still kind of a lot.
But it was a lot of big groups of women.
Yeah, there were 1 or 2 groups at the showing that we saw too that I could tell were probably like one of them had read it and then passed it around to everyone else and they were excited about the movie. Go on.
I tried to do like interviews. Like I went up to this one group of ladies and asked them like if they had read the books and like what their favorite part of the books was. But then one of the employees came over and told me I couldn't do that.
Yeah, that's bad.
I did get one question answered. I asked them what their favorite part of the book was, and this one woman said, I don't know which book it was in, but it was when Christian said, "Get in the motherfucking car, Anastasia." What kind of trailers were there for you?
Oh,
yeah,
let's see. Oh, you know what? I think we missed the trailers.
Oh, that sucks.
Wow, that's not a reasonable time. Why did you think you got there at a reasonable time?
Because it's slated to start at 8:30. And isn't it that 8:30 they start like all the trailer stuff and then... Yeah, so I don't know. Or it could be that they played minimal trailers.
What time did you get there?
Yeah.
8:30.
That's not a reasonable time, Charles.
Ah! Well, my friends were...
No wonder you didn't get a seat.
My friends were responsible for taking me, and I trusted them.
Well, you should rethink that.
I guess they're the type of people that just hate trailers. Yeah, the Draft House, there's legitimately good reasons to go early, because you can just sit there and watch stuff.
Yeah, the Draft House is fun. I wish I could have gone and seen it.
Yeah, you missed Gachimuchi.
I know! Can we talk about that? What did they play of Gachimuchi? Was it like the edits, or was it just like straight up like Gachimuchi?
It was edits, like the music video recut.
So our listeners don't know this, but should I explain the concept of Gachimuchi? It's like a gay Japanese man-on-man porn. There's a lot of Caucasian actors, and basically it's kind of like BDSM-y. They hit each other. There's like a lot of wrestling. like pants ripping. But people on the internet have taken it and like made all these edits with it. Like if you've ever seen like YouTube poop, it's basically like that, but with cake porn.
They also played Oh Bondage Up Yours by X-Ray Specs.
Oh yeah, they did.
There was one that was the 50 Shades of Grey trailers, but with 2 golden retrievers.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it was funny.
And then there was a fairly humorous, just straight up parody trailer. And then the regular trailers, there was one for something called, I think, Spring, or else it was saying that it was coming out in the spring, I'm not sure, about some guy going to Italy and falling in love with this lady who turns out to be some weird, like, science experiment monster thing. I don't know, it looked interesting. Oh, there was one for the Entourage movie.
Oh, right.
Ew,
God.
what?
God. And there was like part of that was like a fake trailer that was like a sort of dystopian bondage rave.
Yeah.
And like a really cool DJ. And I was like, this looks pretty cool, but it turned out to be the star of Entourage's fake movie. And I was like, oh, it's just this shit.
It's like...
Oh, and it's coming out next summer. They're showing trailers for it now. Oh, and Pitch Perfect too. I like Pitch Perfect.
I haven't seen
think
Pitch
it's a funny
Perfect.
movie. It's
I heard
good,
it's good,
in my opinion. Yeah. We should probably get to the movie. So it opens with a montage of Anna and Christian getting ready for their days and going about their morning under the song "I Put a Spell on You," a female cover. And that was really strange to me. Like, I couldn't figure out why they chose that song for when they haven't even met yet.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I don't know. That seems appropriate to me.
I mean, I guess it could be, like, foreshadowing, but it just seems really weird.
I guess it's setting up the premise, maybe.
This movie is not intended for people that don't know anything about 50
Yes,
Shades.
and we can touch on that a little bit later with some details.
So, I think it's perfectly fine. Like, it's not even like subtext. It's just like straight up, you know it's coming. Like,
yeah, I think it's safe to say everyone knows the premise by now.
Yeah, and like, don't be fooled when Cherry Doom says montage. It is a montage, but it's not intercut between the two characters. It starts with Christian and Christian's day, and then you see Anna leaving college, and that's like it. Like, you see, okay, the things you see Christian doing are he like wakes up, he gets dressed, he goes for a jog,
Isn't the first thing he does is like he ties his shoes in front of a mirror in his like super orderly,
closet, yeah. And then like he goes for a run, and then you see of Anna is her leaving school, like.
Yeah, pretty much. She's like walking through the rain and
she gets in her car, and then somebody opens a door for Christian, and he gets in his.
Yeah, and like that's about the only intercutting that there is for that. But it's interesting. It was interesting to me that it started with Christian and not Anna.
Yeah, this is something me and Chad talked about, but like the book is purely from Anna's perspective, but there is a lot of stuff of Christian. There's usually no dialogue involved, but we see him a lot like in meetings and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that was because they just wanted more of Christian, like even when he's not in what's going on, because that's what people want to see.
Yeah, I feel like that's what people want to see. I feel like there's a lot of focus on him in this movie for that reason.
Yeah. I think that's probably the true like meta reason for it, but I still wonder like in terms of perspective,
narrative.
Like narrative perspective, whose voice is really supposed to be like the focus of the film, and it's not entirely clear to me. And I mean that could also be it too. It could be like third person.
I feel at times we are meant to sympathize, or sorry, not sympathize, but like sort of be more with Christian. Does that make sense? Like rather than relate to Anastasia, a lot of times I felt like I should relate to Christian, which is weird.
I don't know. Well, I felt like I could not connect to him. I mean, at all. Like,
well, I don't think he was relatable, but I think the movie was trying to get you to connect.
Yeah, I think it was trying. I don't think it was like failing. Or
I don't think I could ever sense his attraction to Anna.
Yeah, he was really robotic, and I feel like
that's because Jamie Dornan's acting was bad and they had no chemistry.
Let's get to that like a little later because there are some specific examples that really play that out well.
I do want to say like the movie is very sympathetic to Christian in a way that I don't think is like
fair.
Good. Yeah, like.
All right, so the interview scene. Anna's trip looks super fake.
Yes.
When she chips it, like everything she does from the books, like biting her lip, tripping, all looks really fake.
Yeah. Could be that.
And this is like a more sort of overarching issue I have with the whole movie. Everything directly lifted from the book is terrible.
Yeah.
Does not translate.
Yeah, like the interview scene is exactly what you expect. It's actually pretty.
I mean, there was more, like, Anna was way more awkward than she seemed in the book. Like, she did a lot more, like, there was a sort of a cute scene where she was like, she needed a pencil.
Yeah.
And she was like, whoa, where's my pencil?
There were some instances in using the language of film that were good, that were more effective than anything that E.L. James wrote, because E.L. James basically just wrote, "Oh no, I'm clumsy and awkward," and like, whereas in the movie, like, Anna trips and then like she doesn't have her pencil, and there's not really any dialogue stating it. It's visual language, which is good in terms of, like, you know, cinematic theory. But
yeah, let me just briefly mention that was one of the triumphs of this movie, in a sense, that completely wins out over the book, is that we no longer have to rely on E.L. James's prose to understand a situation. And that deeply enhanced the experience.
Yeah. However, that being said, the opening scene really strongly establish some of the tonal aspects of the movie that are
Absolutely.
like never go away in terms of like the cinematography and stuff. The color palette, first of all, they're in Seattle and the Seattle area, so the weather is shitty and like it's always like drab outside, and the color palette itself is pretty drab, and it's tends to be a little desaturated, and they do the good old digital orange and blue. It's way less overstated in some areas, but like the orange and blue undertones are very strongly there.
Yeah,
like,
especially later in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, like, for non-special lighting scenes, just like everyday, like.
Oh yeah, sure. Like when she walks in, or when she's in the office, lots of blue. For sure. That's
a trend in recent cinema to like try and make things look more like high def or something. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's a particular color palette that they use that is like showing up in a lot of movies. It's way more pronounced in some movies than others. And
in short, it's a way to make things. It's a way to block things effectively, but it's so overused and like not artfully done a lot of times. That's kind of the easiest way you can sum it up. All right, I've got to move us along. Okay, so...
Right, okay. I think that the script... I mean, I kind of said this already. Like, there's a lot more natural-sounding dialogue. You may disagree, but I think it was more natural than it was in the book.
I absolutely agree.
Like, it's funnier. It's more natural-sounding. It's more interesting to listen to. But there are times when they directly lift stuff from the book, and every time that happens, it sounds really bad.
Yes.
Like, it just sounds, like, completely out of place, and Chad said when we were talking about it, a total non sequitur.
Yeah. Can I ask, like, did they tweak some lines in that interview, or did they add some lines? Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, definitely tweak. I mean, they took stuff out, they added stuff in, it's different.
It's a lot more effective like this, but I think it's the start of a bad trend with characterization. We noticed this in the trailer, and I believe it's very present in the movie. Jamie Dornan Gray acts like a lot more like a weirdly concerned older brother. And like that is absolutely present in this interview.
Yeah, pretty much everything. So this interview has a lot of elements of like the acting and like the characterization of these characters that's carried through the entire movie, which that's good for an establishing scene. But that establishes that, like, one, Jamie Dornan in this movie is not acting very well. And two, he cannot hold on to his American accent very, very well.
Yeah, he cannot.
And he's like some alien or robot. Like, all of our theories about the book have finally come true. And is like a lost child, and Christian is an alien.
I disagree. I think that Anastasia does not act like a lost child in this movie, and I actually would like to get to that a little later on, because I have a note on it. But anyways, this... Alright, by the way, everything you just said is true. Like, he's so... That's kind of why I said, like, older brother, because he acts so fucking bored, like he already knows her, and like, with the exception of she like puts the pencil near her mouth and bites her lip, and he like grips the table, and like all I could think was like, I am a boner. Like, like that's what that was. Like that was it. That was all you get really of the sexual tension, is like, like that one weird little thing, and then later he's just like, I would like to see you again. But like, it's strange because like she, as in the book, acts in no way that is compelling. Other than she bit her lip. Like, that's it. And, like, she asks him this kind of, like, dumb shit, like, I am about to graduate from college type question, like, aren't you, like, what does it really mean? Like, why are you...
I'm just wondering if maybe your heart's a little bigger than you like to let on.
Yeah. Yeah, that was it.
That was not in the book.
I thought so.
And that was, like, one thing that was not okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The change. That it was just, like, a really kind of shortcut, I guess, to get to, like, what the whole movie
was
about.
And it sort of makes more sense that he'd be intrigued by her if she said that, because it's such, like, a non sequitur, like, what?
It doesn't even make any fucking sense, because we don't know anything about his character at this point. So, like, we don't know that, is he supposed to be, like, a mean guy? Because, like, all we know, like, if you hadn't read the
Anna
books,
doesn't know about him either.
Yeah,
so
I know.
In the book, she doesn't know anything about him.
It's just her being, like, sort of, like, strangely immature. Like, did you ever think of it, like...
What if dog was spelled God?
I mean, she does that, like, at the very end of the movie, where she's like, did you learn to play piano at a young age to please your family?
Yeah, like, that weird, like,
There's some bad
armchair
exposition
analyst thing.
There's some really good examples later of how non sequitur some of the lines are between them, and a lot of it is, like, when is lifted directly from the book.
Yeah, definitely.
This also ties into, it's pretty pronounced in this opening interview, but, like, because of how they want to not, like, cut away from characters while they're saying, like, either iconic lines from the book or, like, just, you know, actual dialogue from the book, the shot reverse shot in the movie is really boring. I mean, it's sort of hard to describe what an interesting shot reverse shot is like, which shot reverse shot is when, you know, focus on character and then back and forth between them when they're having a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, there are interesting ways of doing it in terms of pacing, and this movie doesn't have any of that. It's just like, I'm Anastasia Steele, cut to Christian Grey. I'm Christian Grey, cut back to Anna. So, Christian, what do you like? Cut back to Christian. What a funny question, Miss Steele.
I have a note, I'll make it quick. So, they leave, and then you have, like, that elevator shot where he's like, Anna, and she's like, Christian, and, like, the elevator closes on her eyeball.
Oh, note the lighting inside the elevator is blue-white.
So she comes down to the ground floor, runs out, it begins to rain, and she's like, and is, like, letting it touch her skin, clearly is, like, super turned on. I felt like, and, okay, it seemed like this movie tried to make both participants in the power dynamic relationship to be really sexually reactive to things that, like, people are not typically sexually reactive to. Like that interview should not have made her close to orgasm. There's nothing there that would have incited that. Nothing.
I didn't really see anything like that except for that one scene, and maybe when he grabs her after almost getting hit by the bike.
It's interesting because I didn't read this as her being, like, really turned on, which I guess makes more sense. Like, when I mean,
I felt like that's what it was supposed to be, but, like, it was...
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. I
there
guess...
are actually a couple times when she does that and gets... Like, doesn't she, like, look at Kate's Google search of Christian and go, like, oh, like, there are a couple of moments like that where, like, I don't feel like that is a typically shown way of
they don't usually show attraction by looking at Google searches. No, that's not a thing we usually do in movies.
No, but I just mean, like, as far as her reactions, like, I don't feel like that's usually done with women in movies.
No, I think you're right.
I guess what I'm trying to say is her own desire is made really overt, and that's interesting and unique. Okay.
Yeah, I guess I did read it as her being turned on. I guess, but rather than like in your note, like, she goes outside and then, like, has, like, an orgasm because the rain or whatever. Like, she's, like, so turned on. I read it more as, like, the typical use of water in, like, this sort of thing, where it was, like...
it was, like, a baptism of cleansing. New things.
Yeah, like, she came out of it and, like, cooled down and was, like, cleansed by the rain. It was so overt, and I thought it was fucking awful. Like, heavy-handed...
I disagree.
And ham-fisted, and again, setting the tone for how the movie's gonna handle this sort of thing. Like, it's really overt.
To me, it seemed like, oh my god, like, I'm so steamy hot, and, like, oh, like, I'm being touched just like I was craving the touch of earlier. And, like, it's, like, they really focus on how it's hitting her, like, bare skin. Like, it's not just, like, hitting her in general. Like, it's not like a baptism. It's, like, a weirdly erotic thing.
Well, I thought
Yeah.
that it was she was so hot, but she didn't realize it until she got outside and the cold rain juxtaposed how hot her skin felt.
There's lots of binary juxtapositions like that in this movie.
She keeps this cool pencil that Chad liked, I think.
Yeah.
Who liked the pencil?
Chad liked the pencil.
Yeah, they were cool pencils. I like any pencil that has like, not a pink eraser.
It's a novelty pencil.
It was like a jet black pencil with a yellow gray,
It's a gray
logo on it.
It's a gray and yellow.
And Anna keeps it, and she sort of pokes it at her lips sometimes when she's thinking in class. And like every time she does that, every time she bites her lip, it looks really unnatural. Like, I don't know if that's because they don't usually show that sort of thing in movies, if it's not like an obvious attempt at seduction. I don't know, it just doesn't look believable.
Yeah,
that she would be doing this all the time.
It could be that biting your lip like makes you look like a stupid weird donkey, and it's not sexy. Like, look, what they're actually trying to say, like, that thing, like maybe you see like guys do it when they're being really gross. They go like, I can't make that.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'm trying to like, you suck in your lower lip. You don't like put out your teeth like this. You just like kind of suck in your lower lip, and that's how you actually bite your lip. You don't like put your teeth out and go like, Nyar!
Yeah.
Nyar! Like, also, like, it's worth mentioning, we're talking about the pencil and the lip bite. When she's in class, like Cherry Doom was talking about, like, the zoom in on the pencil, it's like, gray! And she's putting this cylindrical object in her mouth. Subtlety much? Like,
oh, yeah. Also, before the interview, when she first gets to the building, there's this huge, like, low-angle shot of his gigantic building.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't take credit for that comment because I actually read that in an article. But I was paying attention to it when it happened, and it's really obvious.
I
like,
see.
there's a bunch of ways that they try to insert like phallic imagery since they can't just show his penis.
I'm glad to see that the director, whose name I can't remember, there's Sam somewhere in it. There was a big article about how there was a conflict between E.L. James and the director.
Sam Taylor Johnson.
Right, I knew there were three male names. Sam Taylor Johnson about like the goddess and her subconscious, and like A.L. James really wanted to put that in the book, and Sam was like, no, that's stupid, we can't do that. So there's none of that at all, except once Kate calls Anna a goddess because she got Christian to answer all of her questions, and that is it. And there's a weird little like tip of the hat, I guess, to the book. Like, this was the one concession that Sam Taylor Johnson made to E.L. James on that issue. And then Anna makes a sandwich and Kate steals it.
Yep.
And she looks at a Google search and it's like, oh, Christian.
Oh, Christian.
And then we go to the hardware scene. Anna unspools like 2 feet of rope, and Christian says, that's impressive. She's not doing anything. She's just taking rope and unspooling it from the roll. And she's doing nothing impressive at all. And he says, that's impressive. Are you a Girl Scout? And Anna says, no, structured group activities are not really my thing.
Yeah, not really my thing.
But she says it like, not really my thing. She does
not really my thing.
Interesting, I guess, vocal, I don't know what you'd call it, tics, or not a tick, but just like vocal inflection that's
speaking
more interesting.
Characteristics.
Yeah. That is more interesting than
one thing is the way that they filmed him showing up. Like, she reacts like how you might expect, more like she goes like, what the fuck, like, and he's just like, hi, and it's like really abrupt. Like, that was sort of in a way masterful, but in a way not.
I mean, that happens several times because he keeps showing up like a fucking creep.
Yeah.
So there's the photo shoot coffee shop scene.
Yeah, in the coffee shop scene, so you have Anna and Christian sitting across from each other, and an interesting thing to note also is that in a lot of their shot reverse shots, Christian is on the left of the frame and Anna's on the right, or like more to the left and more to the right. But also in this particular scene, framed over behind Christian on the wall, which is out of focus because they're using there's depth of field because of the focal length. So over Christian's right shoulder, there is a framed like poster or something with a black it's like a black background with red writing, and then over his left shoulder is another poster which is like a light blue background with white writing, which I thought was really really silly and like heavy-handed imagery.
Yeah. Also, I'd like to mention this scene lasts about 5 seconds and makes it even more abrupt and awful than the book.
Well, I don't know. I mean, at least in the book, there's like they had like a whole coffee shop date in this like the same amount of time that they have in this one, and in this one, Christian's like, I can't do this, I gotta leave, rather than having like a long leisurely coffee date.
Well, because also, like, we talked about this when we talked about the scene, like, stripped of the narration, they're just, like, sitting around. Yeah. Like, they say, say, like, 4 sentences to each other.
But no, it's funny because, like, you know, he pours this tea for her, and, like, he unwraps a muffin, and then, like, 5 seconds later, he's like, no, we're leaving. And you just leave all this stuff on the table, I guess, like...
I mean, they do that a lot. They leave a lot of food uneaten.
Well, okay, part of it is probably because, 1, the scenes are so short, and 2, I bet that they had to reshoot so much that, like, no one wanted to touch any of the stuff. And, like, the director also didn't think it was necessary for them to ever, like, actually eat anything most of the time. That also reminds me, like, I wonder how many times, like, how many takes scenes took to shoot, and also... how much, like, Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan had to think about, like, delivering their lines, like, when they got the script and were, like, rehearsing themselves or, like, before they started doing, like, actual shooting. How much they had to sit there and just go, God, how am I going to make this sound like real words?
Yeah.
I feel like Dakota Johnson tries a lot harder.
Yeah, it seemed...
She's much more interesting to watch than he is.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she is
much more dynamic.
Part of this is because I wonder, like, what they were asking of Jamie Dornan. Because I think he probably was giving them exactly what they wanted. But what they wanted was just, like, an Inhuman. And, like...
yeah.
And, like, Dakota Johnson, and we talked about this right after we saw the movie, Dakota Johnson definitely tries to play looser with her performance in a way that's more, like, organic for a person. And Absolutely. I wonder how much resistance she met, like, with E.L. James and, like, the director about, like, what they wanted her to do versus what she wanted to do as an actress. Because I bet a lot of the sassiness was just her rather than direction. And, like, I wonder how much of that got cut out. Like, how many times she did a take and they were like, you gotta redo that.
I don't know. Like, why wouldn't they want that? Other than, I guess, just, like, wanting to stick to the script as much as possible.
And I think I know why this is. I was thinking about it a lot, too, because this kind of goes both ways. Like, yes, she injects a lot of personality into the character, but sometimes that comes out in the most annoying ways. Like there's all these moments where she just is going, like, or making, like, these weird sounds, and, like, it doesn't feel like an actor who's acting. It feels like a normal person who walked on set and is, like, trying to act like a normal person.
That is probably, like, them picking shitty takes.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, right? And I guess we'll get into it more as we continue through this plot. But like there are certain times where she's just like, and like Jamie Dornan does none of that. Like she'll go like, hey, and then she'll read her line, or like she'll respond to an action with like
yeah, she'll be like, Christian.
I don't remember any of this.
It's like, it's pretty subdued, but like if that sort of thing bothers you, it's pretty noticeable.
Okay, but speaking of which, there's like a really good example of this, because the scene after the coffee shop Photoshop coffee shoot is when she's getting drunk with all her friends, and she drunk dials Christian, and I think that's a really well acted scene by Dakota Johnson, because she's like, like, why'd you show up at my job? Like she does a really good job of like being like a drunk, crazy.
Yeah,
like
I did like this scene. It made more sense, because in the book she was just like, I'm sitting on the toilet, I think I'll... No, wait.
Yeah.
She's in line, she's like, I think I'll drunk dial Christian. But in this one, she's like getting ready to delete him on her phone, and instead she calls him. So it's not quite as ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it is pretty funny. Like, she's like, I'm in line because I gotta pee really bad. And I don't know, it's just funnier.
Yeah, it feels
it was in the book.
Very much more real. And also, like, after she hangs up on him, she's like, I showed him to the girl next to her who like hadn't been paying attention. She's like, oh. Just really good. It really shines through that, you know, like that the actress has a personality. Anyways,
I noticed they use a different shot for when Christian comes out and shoves Jose.
Yeah.
It was an interesting sort of... There's a lot of shots where you can see Christian in the background coming towards the camera and Anna. It happens in the bar. You can see him coming through the doors to the patio and then shove Jose. And then it also happens in the graduation scene where you can see him in the background, like pushing through the crowd to get to Anastasia. So that's interesting, I guess.
Oh, I didn't notice that at all. That's a really good touch.
So yeah, then the next day at the hotel, please talk about this scene.
Absolutely. So she wakes up in Christian's bed. There's like a stupid, like he comes home from a jog. You see it outside the hotel they're staying in. There is a glass of orange juice and there's like some kind of painkiller. Yeah, ibuprofen. And it says like, drink me, eat me. Like a really stupid like English major, like, have you read Through the Looking Glass? Like Alice in Wonderland? Of course you have.
I don't know if that was specifically meant to appeal to her English major thing.
I feel like it had to have
I think it was
been.
meant to imply that she was going through the looking glass into Wonderland of bondage and fucking.
Maybe.
Have you ever seen the porn version of Alice in Wonderland?
No.
It's pretty good.
Say what?
It's like the 70s porn of Alice in Wonderland. It's fucking insane.
Amazing. No, I really would like to see it.
Okay.
The version of Christian Grey presented in this movie, I'm not sure he's read a book.
Yeah, I sort of feel that too.
I don't think he gets out much.
Yeah.
But he asks her, was it Jane Austen, Thomas Hardy, or Charlotte Bronte that made you fall in love with literature?
There was just someone like talking into his ear, like, and this is what you need to say to get her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more about this scene, like, okay, so he comes back from his run, he's all like sweaty, dripping wet dude, and he takes off his shirt and he starts like eating some breakfast on a couch across from her, and she's like, "Did we fuck?" And he's like, "No." But then he comes up to her, and by the way, the whole thing about like the pants hanging off his hips, it should have been like the pants hanging off the slight imprint of my dick. That's actually what she's continually freaking out about, if the movie's any indication. So
I didn't notice that at all.
I noticed that multiple times, and I'm sorry. It could have.
No, that's fine.
It may have been something to do with the fact that I was 20 feet away from the screen.
Christian is like talking to Anna. He suddenly takes his shirt off and then like prowls onto the bed and eats some of her toast. And it's like, it seemed like such a weird ramping up of his conquest.
Yeah, if he was like, if you were mine, you wouldn't be able to sit for a week. And like when he did that, I was like, oh, is this gonna be a sexy movie? Like, I should have come with my friends. And then he goes, and eats the toast, and everybody fucking cut up laughing in the audience, and I did too. Like, I couldn't stop laughing for a long time.
Either of our showings, I don't think. It was weird. It's interesting how that happens. But yeah, it's just like seems like it comes out of nowhere. Like, and it does in the books, but it's even more so in the movie. Just like, you know, he was like, they sort of touched a little bit.
It was more like the tension, though.
I guess, but it's like suddenly he's like, oh, here I'm breaking the tension, eating your toast, and then. I don't know, it just doesn't follow to me at all.
Yeah.
Like, you like spent the night in bed with her passed out body, and now you get to fucking crawl on top of her and eat her toast? No way.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the crawl on top was like, oh, is something going to happen? And then he's like, meh, and then he just goes to take a shower. Like, it completely breaks the moment in like what I think is a good way. Like,
I don't think so. I thought it was
he was much more predatory in that scene. Like, than anything, him crawling on top of her that way, it's so much more emphasized him as a predator than, like, anything.
Like, Anna, didn't react. That was what surprised me so much. Like, she didn't find that odd. Or, like,
I felt...
She didn't do anything.
Yeah, and
She just let him eat her toast. I'm so mad about this toast. He wants her to eat, but he's eating her food. Okay.
I also felt like that actually didn't come up at all in the movie.
That was probably good.
Yeah, agree.
I felt like this scene really, the way that it was shot, and I am struggling to remember exactly like what implied this, but the scenes of Anastasia vulnerable in bed trying to cover herself with sheets as Christian like prowled on top of her in a very menacing way may definitely set up the contrast of her being like basically still a child and him being a huge predator. Like, she didn't react very much because Dakota Johnson's acting was bad, but it for me felt extremely predatory and it was very unsettling.
Really?
Yeah. I was really creeped out by the scene.
That's so interesting. See, because I read it more as like he's sort of like teasing her, like, and then like the toast is like the cherry on top.
Okay, no, he's teasing her, but it's still creepy, like, to tease someone like that.
Well, it's sort of like they're both, like
I guess it's supposed to be implied that they both know that they both like each other.
Yeah, they're both acknowledging that they like each other. And he's like, bleh, and then he's like, And then he just goes and like, and it's the scene is fine and nothing happens.
Well, but contrasting, like, but the undertone of the scene, like, contrasting her vulnerability with his aggressiveness. Like,
I feel like there's not enough establishment in the movie for me to be afraid at that scene. Does that make sense? Like, if he had done,
I thought that was exactly where they established how threatening he was, and they did it not by making him physically violent or like anything like that. They just made him creepy as hell. To me, that's how I read it.
He was creepy as hell. But I feel like this is pretty. It was one of these things where like they sort of, it feels like that the people working on the movie wanted to fool you a little bit, like.
Except that they didn't. The trick is that they wanted to diffuse the tension with the toast, rather than the trick being that it was creepy. It was creepy, but they wanted to make you think it wasn't creepy by adding humor.
Right, but wasn't the whole point, was that like it was a farcical creepy?
I don't think it was ever supposed to be creepy and diffusing creepy. I think it was supposed to be sexy and diffusing of the sexy with the toast. But it came off to me as creepy. I was like really, I had like a very like, oh Jesus, what's gonna happen? Please don't.
Yeah,
see, that's really funny that
too.
you guys felt that way, because I felt the opposite. I did feel like it was a sexy scene. I wonder what that says about me in relation to you guys. What's the difference? Like,
well, I'm
you know,
I have huge intimacy issues, so that's
I
probably
see.
what it means.
I think,
I don't trust men.
well, maybe
Yeah.
it's like, maybe I don't want to analyze this. It's too weird.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of other times to talk about how creepy he is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is like the least creepy.
So Christian takes her back to her place, and Kate and Elliot are fucking on the couch, basically.
Yes, sort of. Something is happening.
I mean, his pants are off,
but her
I
clothes
think
are
he's
on.
trying to put it. No, she's wearing like a
Negligee.
like
Yeah.
a negligee. Like he's slipping it in up under that silk.
Oh my god.
Elliot's really ugly.
Yes! He reminds me of Sawyer from Lost, but he's so much more like ratty looking.
He's skeevy.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Chad. He's like a real creep.
He's like
Yeah,
the skeevy 90s, like, awful
Scrubby
guy.
goatee, awful man.
He is on the outside what Christian is on the inside.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is not at all what I pictured when I pictured Elliot. I pictured, like, some sort of, like, corn-fed, blonde, like, Aryan. And, like,
Yeah, me too.
Instead, we got some weird fake 90s biker.
Yeah, like Steve Buscemi with like a lot of plastic surgery.
A heroin addict, probably.
Yeah.
Like a 90s Calvin Klein model.
Yeah.
So, okay, Christian sends the books, and Kate illegally opens Anastasia's mail in violation of federal
Well, that wasn't mail. It was a delivery. It's not U.S. Postal Service.
mail tampering. Mail tampering. Was it a U?
It's not the mail,
Was
though.
it a delivery?
It came at night.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so she didn't commit a crime. But she committed a crime of decency. And
Yeah.
But okay, so she shows it to Anna, and Anna says that it's Tess of the D'Urbervilles. But when I heard it in the theater, it sounded like Tass of the D'Urbervilles, like a tool-assisted speedrun of the D'Urbervilles.
Anna's probably read that book so much, you can probably do one. Even though I guess tool assisted isn't really
I'm trying
the
to
same
optimize my reading, Kate.
thing. Okay, so then there's the helicopter scene. Oh, but first Anna thinks about Christian and she kisses her pricing gun while she's at work.
I missed that.
Oh yeah, that was so dumb. She was like, "Wee!" And I remember looking at my friend, my female friend, out of the two friends that took me. I looked at her to like my left, and we just both looked like, "Urgh!" and started laughing, like pretending we were like holding up the pricing guns to our heads and being like, "Wee!" Like, it was so dumb.
Okay, so then there's the helicopter scene, and it's there's a song playing over it, and I cannot get this fucking song out of my head, and I hate it so much.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even
And
remember what song it was.
I mean, I don't know what the song is
It
called,
was one
but
of
I
the
have it
worst
stuck in my head.
songs on the soundtrack, and that's saying a lot.
Basically,
Oh, yeah.
it's like kind of just a real peppy, upbeat. I don't know like what to compare it to, but it's just this woman saying, "Touch me like you do, kiss me like you do."
Yeah.
I can't sing. I'm sorry, but that's
That's
and
what it was
it's
happening
just,
though.
Hold me like you do, and oh god, and they're just flying. It's not interesting at all.
This was another scene that made me sick because I was sitting too close.
Yeah, Cherry Dim has a note here about it being overscored. And not just the scene, but the whole movie was overscored in a way that's pretty typical of Hollywood, so it was par for the course.
Yeah.
Um,
It's, well,
Like I don't know. this scene didn't seem romantic to me at all. Like, it's just a helicopter.
It didn't. Oh, okay. Well, the music was definitely trying to make it sound romantic, but I did not read the way that it was shot as trying to be romantic. Like, it seemed like a choice just because it was obviously supposed to be romantic in the book. But to me, it looked like Anna was just enjoying having a helicopter ride and Christian was like flying, like which is what happens in the book. Like in the book, it's just like, I like flying helicopters, and Anna's like, I've never been in a helicopter, and that's like the whole scene.
That's basically it. Yeah, it's the same here.
But here they were also like, oh, but it's romantic.
Well, yeah, like she's like smiling and having fun. And she like looks over at him, and he's just like
focused.
So like Jamie, it seemed like they wanted like. What they asked Jamie Dornan to do on the day that he came in to like shoot scenes was just like, be your character from The Fall, but worse. Like just like no emotion, no range, just be as neutral as possible through the entire movie.
Oh shit, I forgot. Have they made out yet? Yes, they made out.
Yeah, they made out in the elevator. Fuck the paperwork. Right,
and I wrote, as Anna and Christian engage in a passionate kiss, I passionately take the first bite of my hamburger.
Oh, that was the other thing. When they stopped kissing and the guys come in the elevator and Anastasia looks all Rumpelstiltskin and Christian looks normal.
That was kind of cute.
Yeah, it was cute. Everybody laughed, though. It was another moment where everybody laughed.
Oh, yeah, people laughed in my showing, too.
Yeah.
But I don't think they laughed in Chad's.
Those two lines... The way that Jamie Dornan delivers, I'd like to bite that lip, and also fuck the paperwork. God,
that was so fucking shitty.
Also fuck the paperwork is delivered so badly. He's like, fuck the paperwork. And like, God.
Every direct line from the book sounds like garbage.
Yeah.
That's just,
it's
just sustained throughout the movie.
The Bose headphones were displayed very prominently in the helicopter scene. Repeatedly Bose.
So the playroom reveal.
Xbox?
Yeah, like, she says, this is my playroom, and Anna says, like, we have your Xbox stuff? That was more natural than in the book.
Right before this scene, he goes, come. Remember we were all complaining about that?
He does that all the time, yeah. He does that a lot in the movie.
And coincidentally, it's just as awful as all the other lines taken straight from the book.
Yep.
Interesting.
I do like the part Christian, like, keeps warning her, you can run at any time. The helicopter's being unsafe. He's like, just open the door. I thought that was good. So there's a stand in the red room, and I don't know what it's for. It's like this little gold stand with a little flat thing on it. And I have no fucking clue what it could be for.
I actually don't even know what that is. I don't remember that.
It's in the background. It's not ever featured prominently. It's just like a thing. It looks like the tiniest, most ornate music stand, like a really tall, tiny, ornate music stand.
It's the sacrificial daggers stand for when...
Maybe.
Like,
the only thing I could think of was it was some sort of control panel for, like, music or fucking tools. I don't know.
A control panel for fucking.
I was just so curious about what the fuck that was. So what did you guys think of the room?
I was jealous. I'm not even a BDSM practitioner. And I was like, whoa. Yeah. Look at this.
There's a lot of nice stuff.
I was not impressed, but I don't know anything about BDSM. Mostly I was concentrating on the fact that the room was not actually that red looking. It was more brown. And it was not very womb-like to me. It just was like brown.
Yeah. It was pretty like a grand room, but it wasn't like, it didn't have like a closed feeling.
Yeah, definitely not, because there's like a huge door like in the back to a changing room or something.
I know that it was supposed to be a deep red, to be like blood-ish, but like I felt like they should have saturated it a little bit more, the color palette, to make it actually feel red.
I don't know. I sort of liked it like that.
Well, I think it was better, but I think that it did not come off as like red to me.
Yeah, I mean, was it true to the book? No, but was it like a nice shot? Yes.
No, it wasn't even a nice shot.
Okay, well, that's your...
It's actually kind of maybe a good place to actually bring this up, but like, this movie is shot with a widescreen camera, and they basically don't use that fact at all, nor do they use the fact that it's digital, very well, by which I mean like, shooting long takes. They probably did shoot long takes, but they didn't use long takes. They did a lot of editing, which is fine, but it just was shitty, and occasionally when they did go to wide shots or long shots, it just like was almost always for establishing shots rather than like opening up the scene. There are a couple times where they actually did it and it actually felt nice, especially because the movie is so close in all the time. Like the majority of the shots of actors and stuff are like medium close or close-ups for the majority of the movie. Another note about this in widescreen. This movie is being shown in IMAX theaters, and there's literally no reason to go to an IMAX showing of this movie because you will get no benefit. It's just a reason to charge more money for the tickets. There's nothing to be gained from seeing an IMAX version of this movie.
So right before they do it, he's like, you have to, like, what do you like? What do you like? And she's like, I wouldn't know. It's, it's that conversation of like, you're a virgin. So like, they didn't play it like he was really angry like they did in the book.
Yeah.
Like, at first he's kind of like, what? But then
Where have you been, Anastasia?
Yeah. It's really creepy because he's like, I get to, like, deflower you. And he seems, like, really turned on about it, too. He's like, like, his, like, little veins are standing out on his face and stuff. He's like, I'm gonna fuck you. Like, I found that really
throw
creepy.
Themselves at you.
Yeah.
And they do not say, come up to scratch, like they did in the book, which was such a weird thing. She just says, no one I've ever liked.
Can I be real with you for a second? And this is, like, a really awful thing to say, but, like, it sort of feels ridiculous that he's saying this to Dakota Johnson. Men must throw themselves at you!
Why? I don't get it.
She's really, like, she's not ugly, but she's pretty plain looking. Like when you think about somebody who men literally throw themselves at, I think of, like, Kim Kardashian. That's just me.
There's all different types of women and all different types of men.
I agree, but, like, she also, she has no charisma either. Or very minimal charisma. In the movie she does. Anastasia does.
I think probably Dakota Johnson doesn't have very much charisma.
I don't agree with you guys. I think she's perfectly attractive.
I think she's perfectly attractive.
She's a perfectly normal looking person.
Is she a heartbreaker, though? I think not.
She could be.
But she's not in this movie, is my point. Like,
she's not in any picture I've ever seen. And, like, I'm not trying to say, like, I'm not trying to say that she's unattractive or that, like, I have, like, super high standards or anything like that. But, like, she is, like, extremely plain looking.
When you talk about, like, a show-stopping woman who walks in the room, everyone drops their wine glasses and, like, is like, like, it's not her. So it just feels like it's something he's saying to be manipulative was my end point. Like he's more turned on by the idea that he gets to fuck something untouched, not like, where have you been? It's like, that's not why. Yeah, that's what I mean.
I don't agree with you guys. You're being
awful. We can talk about it more later.
This poor woman.
I think Jamie Dornan looks like shit too.
No, I think Jamie Dornan looks really cute.
Especially in the sex scene, they both look really bad.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's talk about it, because I actually don't fully agree with Chad on that either.
So yeah, when Chris takes off Anna's jeans, you can see her thigh fuzz.
Yeah,
and it's like a glowing white against the light from the window.
Yeah,
and that's okay, I guess, or cool. I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah, I felt that was really mundane, but people in the audience were like, "Whoa, like she's hairy," and like both me and my friend later were like, "Really? Like, really?" But then,
I mean, it's just like baby thigh fuzz.
Yeah.
It's not like, gross. It's perfectly like normal. Especially for someone who like Anna who, doesn't shave her legs or whatever.
Right. Well, like, I think most people will shave the calf, but they don't go all the way up to the thigh unless they show it off a lot. And then they might have the reason to.
Right. And she didn't know she sort of did, but she didn't really have time because she had to go to work. So this is pretty explicit. I was surprised.
Yeah, like they bring out her titties. Like, I saw the nipple.
There's a lot of titties.
There's a lot of titties, and like I saw her butt. Like when I sort of was like, ew, like why did I go to this movie with my friends? Like, this is naked. And I thought like maybe I was having like a weird dream or something, just because it's so surreal for me to, because like I've never seen an explicit movie in a theater, always at home.
A bunch.
So that felt pretty novel for me.
I mean, surely you expected that. I didn't.
That's the thing,
honestly,
I didn't.
I kind of was surprised. Like, it felt like there was a lot of coverage about how, this movie's not going to be sexy at all. They're cutting all the sexy stuff out. It's not even going to be NC-17. But I think they really skirted the line. I think.
My God, they did.
They got as much out of it as they possibly could without going. Because there's a lot of like very strategic framing of like right before you see Christian's dick, he like just kind of lowers himself out of the frame.
Yeah.
And like there's a part where as it's panning down, you see him putting his dick in her vag from behind, and like
yeah, I saw a little bit of the dick.
By the time the camera gets in there, by the time the camera gets there, like he's already pressed up against her. It's like it's pretty suggestive. It's not even suggestive. It's like it's there.
Excuse me. Yeah, I didn't mean to say it was his dick. It was just kind of like his junk. You see his junk a little bit. Yeah, it's very suggestive, and I think that was pretty shocking for me.
It's not. I mean, it's not a suggestion. It's what's happening.
Yeah.
Like and there's like a lot of here's the moment where it's going in.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Here's
the moment when there's a lot of thrusting.
Yeah. Some of that thrusting was...
And the sex scenes are long. They're like... There's a lot going on.
Long or longer than typical scenes.
Yeah.
Of dialogue, I mean.
So, like, if you want to see this movie because you want to see sex scenes, but you're, like, thinking, oh, this is going to be not sexy, there's a lot of sex scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot of sex in here.
A lot of boobs, which maybe makes it, like, more watchable for the male dates. I don't know. That's
maybe.
Weird. They pan up from them fucking. There's a shot of the wave painting on the wall. They keep panning up to the ceiling, and there's a mirror on the ceiling showing them fucking again.
I thought it was maybe like a skylight because it's so dark.
Me and Chad were confused about that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's either like a really old dirty mirror on the ceiling or a weird round skylight.
I think it's a weird round skylight.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I haven't either. But like, it's so. That panning shot is so overt. Like, you go up past Anastasia, up to the waves. Oh, what is the crashing wave? Is it maybe it's climax. Then you go up past it, come around and look up, and suddenly you see Jamie Dornan's little man ass thrusting away at Anastasia, and it's like not a flattering shot.
Yeah.
And it was like so static and weird too. Like it just was like, the camera is poised and looking at this circle window, and it's just like this like weird, huge bull muscle man body thrusting away at Dakota Johnson. Like that's it, and then it's over.
I'm not sure where else to put this because it's about an absence in the movie, but
okay.
All of the sex scenes involving Anna's active participation have been removed. Like the scene where she gives him a blowjob, or the scene where she is on top for one sex scene, they are not in the movie.
Interesting.
And that's really interesting. And like me and Chad were talking about this, about like how there's a lot of nudity from both of them, but there's a lot more of Anna's full naked body.
Absolutely.
And we were wondering about like what's the purpose of this? Like you would think that everyone would want to see more of Christian.
Yes.
But is it like to like give you some sense of vulnerability from her?
Maybe.
Or is it just like male gazy, even though it's totally a woman director?
Well, I talked to Chad about this too after you guys talked about it, and I think it's a combination of male gaze plus like this, like an industry standard of what's allowed in movies. Yeah. Like obviously you can't focus too much on Christian because, like, hate to say this, but we are very focused on dicks. So if it can't really be shown, then we can't really focus on like this is just the mindset of somebody who would be filming this, by the way. This is not how I feel. So a lot of the shots of Christian's body, and his body is focused on a lot, but it's usually not in such an explicitly sexual situation. It's usually right before the sex, they'll focus on his like dripping wet muscle man bod. And then but a lot of emphasis is also put on his actions towards Anastasia, so it makes her very passive. She at no time is like making any moves on him. She's just the recipient of all the stuff. So if you focus on the way that she's receiving everything, like, like his hands touching her, like his mouth touching her, like that certainly is focused on. It's just not like her naked body writhing. That is it's just to stress that she is like the ultimate bottom, basically.
Also, as a side note, don't be confused, listeners. These scenes aren't really very they're not very erotic. They have no chemistry. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson together have zero sexual chemistry.
Yeah, they do. See, like I got blindsided at times because I couldn't stop looking at Jamie Dornan, but
I don't know. I found my gaze very easily drifting away from him, like some sort of
Robot.
like a magical no, like one of those things in Harry Potter where like Muggles can't see it because they just like conveniently forget.
Right, like their gaze just
Doko
slips
near
over
something.
it. Yeah, it's like the magic. That's so funny. I was gonna say I was so drawn to him because like I was, and I don't know if this is because I was so close to the screen, but I felt like I could not look away from all his muscles. Like he just had so many muscles, and it was like, how does somebody get to look like that? It wasn't like my typical obsession with like someone like Chris Evans, where like it's just that he's a big boy, but it was just that he was so like gristly and like veiny, and also sort of a big boy. And I was just like, how? Like I didn't necessarily pick up on that in the trailers, and I wonder if it was because I was so close to the screen. It was just shoved in my face, making it seem like he was more intense than he was. And that's not to say I did not look at Dakota Johnson many times, but when I did, it was, I would unconsciously start comparing myself, or sorry, like the impetus to do this was unconscious, but like I started comparing myself to her. And I was like, like this movie made me very comfortable because she was not, let me put it this way. She has a wonderful body. She's very fit. She has really nice skin and everything, but she has like a pretty normal body too. Like so it felt okay to like look at her. It didn't feel like I was looking at some unattainable goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So
But I mean, all I would say about that is that she doesn't have huge tits. Like
yeah, she doesn't.
She's got a pretty big butt and
Really?
she's very skinny.
Yeah, she's very skinny. It was strange because like she has a larger than average cup size, but it is not like she's not flat chested, but she doesn't have a lot of breasts either.
I mean, it's also all about like, you know, her posture. Like if she's laying down, then they look smaller, of course.
Actually, if she has her arms up, they actually look really kind of good and big. But like if she's just kind of
so big is good. All right.
Well, not only big, but like the shape is nice. Sorry, is this gross to say? Like I just felt like, and I don't know if this is because I am a woman, a cis woman who is comfortable with that, but like a lot of those shots felt like quasi mundane. It was more like when like the shot where he's taking off her underwear in this first sex scene, I was like, like more so than I was with like the titty showing. I was kind of like, when it happened, I was like, ooh, this is weird, but like those are boobs. But then like when like stuff was happening, that was more when I was shocked. To sum up, couldn't stop looking at Jamie Dornan because I guess, I don't know, he's just really muscular, and I was like, ew, this is a man having sex. And then also, I also was looking a lot at Dakota Johnson, but it was less that I was awed by her. It was just more that like, oh, okay, that's a woman getting fucked. Sometimes I'm a woman getting fucked. There's the shot from the trailer where we thought it was laid out strange because it was laid out in thirds. She walks across the room, comes over to like, you know, hang out with him, and he immediately stops playing the piano, grabs her, and like she gets on top of him and they're both naked. Or naked-ish. So like
he's wearing pants.
I couldn't tell actually, which feels silly now. But like the camera only pans slightly. It does not zoom in. It's the strangely static shot. It just felt really not erotic.
Yeah, it was really like in the book. I think they talk, but in this one, she like just comes over. He grabs her and like
carries her off.
She wraps her legs around him.
Yeah,
she's very naked.
She is very naked. Oh, and someone in the audience was like, because it was a woman, because her butt was like all butted out because of her pose. So that was the first post-sex.
Oh, I did want to say that they really depinkened the Seattle skyline.
Yeah, I was glad of that.
Yeah, but it was still.
I was glad.
There were still a lot of shots that really emphasized how it was just a matte painting.
Yeah.
Christian's tub is really small. It's not befitting of a billionaire.
Yeah, I agree.
Except that I guess it makes them have to be close together or something.
I thought Jamie Dornan looked cute in this scene. He seemed to emote for a moment, and I think that's why. He looks at her and he's like, hey, like it's like it's shortly after she like takes off, lets her robe fall down, and then like steps in the tub. He like turns around and he's like, bleh. My friends that I went with said that apparently Anastasia is getting really turned on in this scene because he's putting the water on her boobs or something. But like,
yeah, because they're about to have sex right after.
I guess I thought she was enjoying just being like the really late aftercare recipient. That's just how I read it. I didn't think it was very erotic, but apparently it was.
So they took out the scene where they go to that weird, fucked up foraging restaurant.
Yeah.
that Chad had issues with.
We all had issues.
Yeah. Instead, they just go for a walk and kiss by a pond.
Yeah, this is where he talks about Mrs. Robinson, too.
Yeah, and that, I don't know, it was just so, the way the exposition worked, it just didn't work. Like, that's like a big part of him. I don't know, they just didn't convey that correctly. It was basically straight from the book.
I felt like it was pretty brotherly, too. Like, he kisses her on the forehead. Like, there's no chemistry. It's just, like, I think that's why it feels so siblingly.
So then Anna goes back home, and, okay, first of all, I want to say that in this movie, Anna does have a computer, but it's broken.
Yes.
That was, like, my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah, they really made her...
that she actually had a computer.
Yeah, more realistic.
I'm so glad that they made that change, and that they realized that was something that needed to be changed. And so, like, that's the only reason she was like, I don't have a computer, and why Christian got her a new one. Anyway, so Anna comes into the apartment. Kate's on her way out. Kate says, "You look different." Anna says, "I feel different." And a girl who was next to me in the theater whispered to her friend, "Because she had sex."
That's cute.
And that was the only time I heard someone say something in my theater. It has the contract now, and she's reading it, and there's a montage. Chad had something to say about this, I think.
Okay, so, I mean, there's obviously the thing about, like, voiceover in film, but that's not always a huge deal, and,
Wait, what's bad about voiceover in film?
it's a crutch.
Oh, okay.
Like, visual medium shouldn't need to rely on voiceover.
What about when they're explaining the security system in a casino, and they're pan over the security system, and someone explains it?
Got you now, Chad. How are you gonna get out of
How
this
else
one?
are we supposed to know how they're gonna break in?
I
Just
think
like,
that's
fucking
a
watch
legitimate-
them do it. That's what a fucking movie is. Not reading a book.
I don't know,
That's
man.
you know what? That's a difference of artistic opinion, Chad. I don't feel like you
It
can
is
say
slightly, but I'm talking about in terms of, like, the general, like, film idea is, like, don't do voiceover, because if you can have someone fucking talking to you about it, you can probably just show it. Like, you're
like
making,
the person can like be pointing at the parts and saying
like,
stuff.
you're making a movie, like, you should just show images to communicate what you want rather than have voiceover. Aside from that, I think, like, voiceover is fine in some situations, but the problem that comes from it is that a lot of people do just use it, like, as a crutch to explain, like, emotional things or, like, exposition. But anyway, in this case, it seems appropriate. Anyway, there's an extended montage where Anna and Christian are emailing each other back and forth. And so first of all, you're seeing their emails and texts on screen as the contract is being read to you, and occasionally you see parts of the contract. So you're expected to do reading, like a lot of reading and a lot of listening at the same time. And it's not hard, but it's sort of, like, stupid to, like, throw this much information at people at once. I don't even know if I don't know what structure this movie was supposed to be following.
Yeah, I
It was
don't
not
either.
a 3-act. I do not think it was a 3-act movie.
It wasn't.
No.
I don't think it was a 5-act movie. I don't know, actually.
I think
like-
it followed the book, and that means
Well, yeah,
that
but-
it basically meant nothing. It had no structure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's easier.
Also, in one shot, Anna has a Windows computer, not the MacBook that Christian buys her. I don't know if she, like, fixed her computer that was broken, and then now she's, like, just using 2 laptops. Or maybe she uses this computer to do a Google image search for submissive, and maybe this is, like, now her burner laptop that she'll throw away because it's got compromising search history on it. Or, I don't know, like, or if it's just a weird continuity error where they had a different computer for one shot.
P.S. Those bondage photos were like the most explicit actual BDSM images, I feel like.
Well, yeah, they're meant to scare Anna off.
Which is silly, because they're not that great. They're not super... I suppose if you were really vanilla...
You just said they were explicit.
They're explicit, but they're not, like, disturbing. 'cause there's a difference.
I mean...
Maybe if you're really vanilla and you saw that one picture where the lady is, like, kneeling in a ball, you'd be like, no! Just like
That was
Anastasia is.
pretty restrictive.
Well, I thought the one with the arm binder was, like, sort of artistic.
Yeah.
Maybe that's my aesthetic blazing through and making me not see that it's scary for a vanilla person? I don't know.
There was one line where I thought it said, does does the sub consent to being gay? And I was like, wait a minute, did he really say that? And it wasn't until I saw it the second time where it says, does the sub consent to being gagged? Which makes more sense. But I thought it was funny. I thought it was some weird like thing where Anna was confusing the question where she asked if he was gay in the first interview, and like it was all running together in her head for some weird reason.
I just like well, I'm not sure if I liked it, but I thought it was funny how smug Dakota Johnson's delivery of the like final email that she sends that sparks the second sex scene. Like, it was nice knowing you.
She says it really slow and types it really
She's like,
slow.
It was nice knowing you.
Knowing you.
Like you would if you were like speaking out loud and typing. Which
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny how smug she.
I mean, I do that sometimes.
I do too.
Yeah. No, I thought it was funny how smug she was, like the way she
Yeah.
said it, and then she was so pleased with herself.
Yeah,
she
she's
was
like, yeah.
close her laptop.
But then she gets her comeuppance because fucking Christian shows up and he is so scary.
Yeah.
She shows up in her house. How do you get in? The movie doesn't explain
No,
it.
the movie doesn't show it.
No, it doesn't.
The movie does not give us the excuse that Kate let him in. He just fucking shows up with some wine. He's like, "It was nice knowing you," and he stalks towards Anna and is like, "How dare you say no, even when I told you could say no."
Yeah.
Thought I would remind you how nice it was knowing me. And then he puts some ice in his mouth and on her boobie.
Oh, but wait. Before that, he ties her up on the bed and he says, "Is this what you want?" And she nods her head yes. I would like to point this out because I believe that consent was injected into many of these scenes, and that is a good thing.
Yes, there's a long scene of him. He does the mouth transfer, baby birding, whatever.
Yeah,
you
they
wanna
did a
call
good
it
job
thing
with that.
in the
That seems
film.
like it could have gone
That
wrong
was-
really quickly.
It was very sort of subtle. And then he puts some ice in his mouth and drags it on her nipple and down her stomach.
Yeah.
And then he flips her over and fucks her real hard.
He slaps her butt,
and-
and I felt like
Slaps her butt.
that didn't feel organic. It's just like flip, slap!
And then that's a scene where it's pretty explicit. Like you could see, like as it pans down, he's clearly putting it in.
Yeah.
And then their bodies are like tight together, and you can see that it's very. It's right there on the screen.
There it is, yeah. He just leaves, and she's like, "Are you not gonna stay?"
That's the only thing. Okay, they make this big deal about how he's like so cold-hearted and he like can't do romance, and he's not affectionate, but he's so affectionate.
Yeah, he is.
The only problem is that he won't stay. That seems to be the issue.
It is.
And it's really not, it doesn't seem like a big deal.
I don't know. It seems kind of
to me.
off-putting because she'll be like, "Where are you going?" And he's like, "I gotta go. Bye." Like,
Yeah, I mean, but it's so...
it's not that crazy. Like, it seems like he cares about her enough in other ways. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's a busy guy.
Yeah, he literally
And
is
also
a busy guy.
and has intimacy issues. But for a guy with intimacy issues, he's extremely intimate.
For the guy with intimacy issues, this is like not the most significant show of that.
Yeah.
It comes up like way grosser later, so we'll talk about it then.
The one thing about the post-sex scene of the second sex scene that really struck me was the crickets. I thought that was hilarious.
Crickets?
Yeah,
I didn't notice that at all.
because so the lighting in the sex scene is like the orangish yellow light in her bedroom, like
Golden
it's supposed to
hour.
be like dusk or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's like very warm lighting, and then they do day for night. Like they recolored the scenes in post production to make it look like nighttime, and added crickets.
That's so
So it's really funny. I'm like 100% because I'm 100% certain that was a set. So that's just ADR crickets. Like,
Yeah.
She says she needs to negotiate the terms of the contract. Is that right?
So this is in a replacement for when they go to the restaurant and suck on asparagus. She goes to his office and they have a meeting in the conference room, and I thought that was kind of cute and clever. Except that the conference room is lit in a way that you would never light a conference room in any business unless it was like a fuck business.
well, are you ready to make a deal with the devil? Let's go to the devil conference room.
Yeah.
It's red. It's yellow. It's like yellow yellow to orange to like dark red, and it's from the floor. Like it's like floor lighting rather than ceiling lighting. So it's it's the reddest room in the whole movie.
Yeah, really.
You want to talk about the dress? I
do.
That dress.
The dress was wonderful. Like, when I think plum sheath dress, I don't think that. That is a great dress. And the audience loved it too, because when they were walking to the conference room, and he tries to put his arm around her, and she puts it down, somebody went, "Woo, zipper up the back." Like, not kidding. That happened, and I laughed so hard.
I have a couple things to say about this whole cluster of scenes. We never mentioned the inkblot panda in Christian
the very, very first scene.
Yeah, which shows up again here since they're back in his business. And then when he's leading her to the conference room, there's like a spray painted blue buffalo painting on the far wall that they're walking towards, which is weird.
And there's also that like stencil spray paint of the ship in his office.
Yeah.
He's definitely got a weird animal spray paint theme, I guess.
But then in the conference room, they mash together the scene. Sorry, they change the scene of the the contract negotiation, from being at a restaurant to being in this conference room. They're still getting food, which they don't eat. But Christian goes over, as he does in the restaurant scene, like all of the physical emotions that Anna is having to him, like how he knows, like, you're into me. And one of them is that she's flushing, but with the way that the room was lit, there's no way he would have been able to tell that.
Yeah.
Actually, that made this make a lot more sense, because, like, it was a glass table, so he could see her do the leg thing, and it wasn't like, I've reasoned it out, like a true child 17-year-old detective, like...
Yeah, I mean, all the other stuff was fine up until he said that, like,
you're flushing. Flushed. Like, no, she's orange. She's lit by a floor lighting of orange. And by the way, something important about this scene I would like to mention, and that I did not mention in the notes, I'm sorry, is that there was kink shaming! Are you ready? When she's like, no anal fisting, and then she's like, no vaginal either. Like, the delivery of that is so, like to imply it's like kind of a joke to like those things. And like, personally, I would also be taking those off my contract if I was in that situation, but that's rude. Like, I don't know, like that feels dumb. Like, oh, that's unacceptable kinky. This is real kinky. Like,
I mean, I don't think Anna knows what kink shaming even is.
Well, so. I mean, the movie is doing it, not Anastasia, but just like, they could have like delivered that better to not make it seem like, ooh, whoop-de-doo, like, that's really wacky. Like, that's how it came off.
I mean, Christian's pretty nonchalant about it. He's like, really? No?
He's upset that the vaginal fisting is off the table.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was kind of more like, tisk-tisk, like, I suppose, like, I guess it was really crazy that I wanted those things. Like, that's sort of how I saw it.
Yeah, the way that I saw it was that he was just like, oh. Like, he was disappointed when she was like, no vaginal fisting. He was like, oh.
Like, she goes, what's a butt plug? And all the servants come in with food. And my friends, I can't remember which friend of the two, but, like, they were like, oh, no, it was the one on my right. It was my female friend. She's like, these are butt plugs. Like, but no, it's sushi.
Sushi that they don't eat. Ah.
It looks so delicious.
Okay. There is something that I sort of liked and I think sort of worked, where Anastasia was like, so what are you going to do to me? And they describe it. And she was like, you bend me over right here. And I thought that was kind of a good dirty talk scene. I thought it was great. That was done effectively on film.
Like, he takes off his tie and he's like, if I was over there, I would do this. And she's like, I would do this. He's like, yes, you would do that. Like, it made sense. It was kind of interesting. I'll give them that.
Oh, the conference room is also one of the places where they used wide shots well.
Yeah. Because
they showed the full length of the table and Anna and Christian being at opposite ends of it, which was nice. It really opened up the scene a lot. It made the movie feel a lot less claustrophobic, which is how it always felt to me.
Yeah, because of those close-up shots in people's faces. It felt that way to me too.
Okay, graduation. I like the University of Washington Vancouver logo. It looks like a yelling snail.
I would like to Google this.
I tried to draw it in my notes, but it was dark, so I didn't do a very good job.
Oh, it does look like a yelling snail.
I don't know what it's supposed to be.
Can you link it, Charles?
Absolutely.
I can't believe you guys didn't notice this.
Well, my eyes weren't usually, like, deflecting off of Jamie Dornan's visage, so... pretended to be looking at him when he was on screen.
I don't know what my problem was. I love him in the fall. I root for him as a piece of shit that I am who loves sociopath murders.
For one, he looks a lot less good without his beard, and for another, his acting is really shitty in this movie.
I feel like his beard is not flattering.
It's not, but it makes his face look
a
better.
little weird. But yeah. I don't know. He looks more like a regular guy with the beard, I guess.
Yeah.
He looks weird. He's like a weird baby face, I feel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. I was like, what is this like like it doesn't look. This didn't look like a snail at all to me. It's very clearly a wildcat.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a cat yelling, but it is a snail.
God.
I don't know.
Because I think they're the wildcats, aren't they?
I don't know. I thought
Yeah,
it was
wildcats.
like the banana slugs at UC Santa Cruz.
Yeah, it took me a second to understand why you thought it was a snail, and then I was like, oh, but no, that's a cat. That's like a big cat of some sort.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. No, it's a snail. Sorry, everybody.
I think a snail is a better mascot.
Yeah, I do. Sorry. I was about to say, I mentioned earlier in this episode that there was some people of color representation, and here it is. The two girls are talking about how hot Christian is in a row in front of Anastasia while they're all waiting for their degrees, and he's giving this speech.
Their exact lines are, he is so hot. The other one says, he so is.
And Anastasia goes, I heard he's gay. And they both make a face like, like,
I don't know if it was I think it was like
one was like and one was like like the one on the right was like and the one on the left was like ew, and like that was so shitty.
Or maybe she was affronted that this fucking waif was talking
yeah,
to
that's
them.
true. Like, who asked you? I like that better. But like, I don't know, that was so repulsive. Like, I just wish they had not left that line in.
They have the he gives her the car.
Yeah,
right?
after graduation. Oh, and Ray is in the
Right.
movie. Ray's like this, like very not at all how I imagined Ray. He's like actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously imagining Charlie
Yes,
from Twilight, who
as
I
was
love,
I.
but he's nothing like that
Yeah.
at all.
She gets spanked,
Right, she gets spanked.
and then he just goes.
yeah,
And then she calls her mom, and she's like,
Oh, I was just going to comment on the phone call. Like, it didn't make sense to me that she was getting so emotional there.
yeah, not to me either.
I was really weirded out. I was like, why is she so upset? Like, yeah.
because he left after he fucking spanked her. Because he didn't do aftercare. He was just like, spank.
Yeah,
okay,
he didn't
bye,
do aftercare. That felt really obvious to me.
at all. And
Well,
like she was.
I guess I missed the spanking because I just was like, I don't know. Like, even aside from that, like, which I agree, like, that is extremely bad. Like, if she were, I mean, I think it was supposed to read as if she was breaking down emotionally from the result of everything that has happened in their relationship, which honestly, at this point, their relationship's been pretty fine.
Yeah, it's been pretty alright. Like,
She has not, like, suffered any real emotional difficulties, as far as I can tell.
I mean, it's just that he
Yeah,
leaves,
that's it.
basically.
Okay.
And he also didn't do aftercare.
Yeah, the aftercare
But,
things. Yeah. The reason that he spanks her is because she
Doesn't
rolls
want
her
it.
eyes.
Yeah.
Jamie Dornan's delivery of that line. So, like, she gets the car, and then, like, they're standing there, and she's like, I can't accept this. And then he says something, and she rolls her eyes, and he goes, did you just roll your eyes at me? And it sounds like a total non sequitur. Like, he just immediately jumps to being like, what? You're rolling your eyes at me?
Yeah.
Because it really hasn't even come up in the rest of the movie.
Well, he
Yeah,
says
like
it
5
right
minutes
before
before.
that if you roll your eyes again at me, I'll take you
Right
across my knee.
before. Like,
Yeah.
but it's not established as like whoa, like, fucking Anastasia rolling your eyes. Like,
She doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah,
really
she
roll
kinda
her
looks to the
eyes
side.
as
She was
much
like,
as she does in the
ah!
book.
Like, it didn't
Yeah.
really feel like she was like, I hate you, Dad. Like, that kind of viral.
I think Anna's mom looks like Kate.
I think that Kate's actor does not look like Anastasia's mom.
Next is the placing, I guess.
So he's like, let's go in my room. And she's like, what about the contract?
Right. What about the comment? He says, just call it due diligence. And I don't understand how that makes sense.
To me, I read that as he has the responsibility to give her a frame of reference so that she can truly judge whether she can sign
Okay.
the contract. But I don't know if that's
All right,
really...
that makes sense.
I don't know. That was kind of a weird way to say it still.
So this scene it starts out very, I mean, it's very much trying to build up to a climax, sort of, I
Mhm.
think. Like, it's very slow. He cuffs her up onto the ceiling while the Crazy in Love starts playing. Okay, well, first he, like, explains, like, this is how, when you come into this room, this is how you'll be, which is a weird phrasing. You'll kneel by the door, and then he slaps her with the crop and is like, see, it didn't hurt. And then he ties her up to the ceiling by her wrists. She can still stand now. And then he hits her with the crop a couple times. And then there's a bunch of intercut shots of them in different positions.
And doing different, like, bondage things.
Different things. Yeah, like, he has her bent over, tied to the bedpost, or they're tied to the ceiling. And these are all things that did happen in the book, but they just sort of, like, breezed through them real quick. It showed sort of out of sequence, like, faster and faster cuts as, the climax rises.
What was your opinion of, like, the play aspect of this?
It's alright.
I liked, I thought the cuffs were cool, maybe only from a fashion perspective.
I didn't like the
color.
the
color was whatever, but, like, as far as, like, the concept of, like, the cuffs, I was like, yeah, those are cool.
Pretty standard.
It is pretty standard. That's kind of what I keep coming back to. Like, it just didn't feel... I was just kind of like, this is pretty standard.
I mean, they're very nice cuffs, but, I mean, it's just, standard
right,
cuff
it was
design.
more that, like, the stuff was nice, but, like, the things they were doing with it just didn't feel like, do you see what I mean? I don't know if it's, like, weird to say that. Like, when he does the rope thing to her, where she's, like, tied up to, like, the bedpost, that feels really mundane somehow.
I like something that I like a lot in bondage is when you, I don't know why, but when you have the rope around a point of, I don't know what you would call this, like a pulley.
Yeah.
It's not a pulley, but like I'll give you the exact example I'm thinking of, but when you have a leash and you have a person on the end of the leash and you put your foot on the leash and you pull the leash up so that they're forced down. He did that with the rope with her hands and it forced her to bend down.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
So that's a cool thing that I feel like you don't see a lot of. If you're like a physics
Rube
fetishist
Goldberg
or something.
Fetish machine.
Simple fetish machine. Yeah, it was alright. It seemed interesting. I like he did a lot of sensation, like kind of slapping her.
Yeah.
I guess just like she didn't really know what was coming next. Another very explicit scene. She's very naked.
Yeah, she's very naked.
They dance a little bit.
It's right before the parent dinner. She gets dressed in like the peachy dress.
Pink. And she does a little like non-classical dance.
Right, like first they like are waltzing or whatever, and then she's like 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 stupid little dance. Like
why did they show that?
It was the fucking
I was out of the room for this.
It was the stupid juxtaposition, like he's really controlled and she's really like natural. That's basically it.
Even though I don't think I'm not in the you missed this part because you were coughing. They're in the apartment.
Okay.
About to leave.
Also, this is supposed to be when he steals her panties, but like the lines are the same. He's like, "You sure you haven't forgotten anything?" But like you don't know that. There's nothing that implies that in the movie, like that he is stealing them from her.
There's not really anything about underwear. No. She's shown wearing his underwear once, but that's about it.
This is totally like some of the things that they left in, just like were recontextualized in a weird way, but also since they're still there, like if you've read the books, it's like, oh, I remember that. But
it's structurally in the movie, it's like there's not really. It's really strange that they would include that when it's a really short throwaway scene. The dinner scene seems very short.
It is.
They could have cut out the fucking dancing scene and like added more about the family, which seems important.
Yeah. Christian's mom is really hilariously acted like she's so retro. She's like, "Oh yes, darling." Like
her actress is Marcia Gay Harden.
Mm-hmm.
She's in How to Get Away with Murder, and she pretty much plays the same character, except the character's a psychiatrist instead of a pediatrician. Which I think she's a good actress. Like, and she's doing it well because they're having her play the same sort of character, like rich/upper middle class, like white woman.
Yeah,
basically.
like really she and like old money.
But it was funny how similar like the characters seemed. I thought it was funny. I think she was probably a good choice.
Yeah, I think so too.
Jose gets a shout out to remind us that he still exists. Elliot says, okay, Kate says, Jose helped us move, Anna's friend, but I think Elliot is trying to steal him away. They've struck up quite the bromance, and Elliot says, he's a cool guy. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was not in the book, but
yeah,
good for them for giving Jose something, I guess.
Give him something.
A creepy best friend.
Anna's like, I'm going to Georgia to see my parents, and Christian gets mad and carries her off to the boathouse, which is actually a pool house.
Yeah. Where they don't fuck.
They don't fuck, and he doesn't threaten to spank her.
There is apparently a cutscene where they still had Mia come to get them, but that's not in the movie now. It was edited out. So.
Right. So instead, they start arguing. She's like, "Why can't I touch you? Why do there have to be rules?" Like that kind of thing. And he's like she tries to touch him, and like this is what I was talking about earlier when I said there were like other sort of like emotionally stunted things that he does. Like he just takes her hand and he just like throws it away from him, like no reaction, just like it's so natural to just be like, just like throw her dirty, unworthy hands off of him. Like, and he does this a lot.
It's not that she's unworthy.
But he doesn't give her any explanation, so like all that she can assume is that like there's something wrong with her, like not with him.
Yeah. But then he explains it to her while she's asleep.
Yeah, while she's asleep.
This is interesting. It's an interesting choice that they made, maybe to like keep up the tension or something for future movies or something. It was very strange.
I think it was just literally to like for people that didn't know anything about the series to be like, here's why he's fucked up. Like even.
But why would she have to be asleep?
Because he's fucked up.
All right.
I think legitimately the reasoning is sort of like, he wants to open up, but he hasn't yet. Like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That thing.
He calls his mother a crack addict and a prostitute rather than a crack whore, which I appreciate.
Yeah. I appreciated that also. It sounded like less misogynistic, basically.
And less fucking stupid.
Yeah.
As like, this is my pet name for my mother, the crack whore.
Well, I was talking to the old crack whore the other day, and she seems to be doing pretty well. She's dead still. But...
So Anna goes to Georgia. Anna's mom and Anna are always drinking, like in every scene.
Yeah.
They have margaritas in one scene and then cosmopolitans in the next. Christian shows up. Anna's mother excuses herself. They talk for like 1 second and then Christian, takes away from her family time. And then the next morning they go gliding. There's no sex scene or tampon removal scene, which is good. I don't know how they would put that on film.
Intercut the scene from The Shining where the elevator doors open.
I feel like this made it less stalkery. Not to say that it wasn't still kind of like a violation, but like he doesn't like come explicitly to just like fuck her. Like he's just like there and he's like, let's have fun.
That does change the dynamic a lot. Where he shows up just to like, be like, hey, I'm here, rather than to be like, hey, I'm gonna fuck you. Like...
Yeah. Okay, about the glider scene, I felt like this was transparent. And I felt that it was stupid in a figurative sense. And by the way, I'm stealing from the friend that was sitting from me on the right and just would like to credit him now. Anytime that they go in the helicopter or anytime that they go in the glider, it's like this sort of analogy for like, oh, like getting away from all my earthly worries. And like, the stars are not the stars, but the actors and the actress, are both like, ha! Yeah! Like, and they're not thinking about any of the stuff that they do when they have problems on the ground. And it's also just like secondary device to maybe get your endorphins up by just being like, look, they're flying, instead of like having the plot cause that in and of itself.
What if in this moment they just started an Anna voiceover and she made the Icarus comparison?
That would make me barf.
Like no voiceover from her before, but just in this moment.
I feel like Icarus flying too close to the sun.
It was in that moment that I knew that I was Icarus flying too close to the sun.
Exactly.
While they're like having a good time.
Yeah.
Anyway, they come back on the ground, and she's like, maybe you're more romantic than you know! And he's like, no. And then he gets a phone call, and he's like, what? What? Fuck! And then he has to go back.
Which is funny, because honestly, like, he's still very basically abusive in this movie, but, like, it's much more strongly emotional. But he is actually portrayed as being more romantic, and, like, he does show affection in strange ways. Like, this glider scene, like, he shows up to Georgia to take Anna on a good time. Like, as opposed to just showing up to fuck her, which is very different. Right.
I feel like he does that a couple times throughout the movie where they have fun, but it's not like in the...
it's like no strings fun. Like, they're just, like, having fun as a couple rather than having fun because he's trying to assert control over her.
Right, like having fun as a result of the power imbalance. It just, like, reinforces it. Like, it's just, they're just having fun. And that makes it feel a little bit more normal, I guess.
It still doesn't quite jive with the rest of his character because that's actually still pretty well preserved, but like the slight ways in which they tried to make him less of like a horrible person, I think significantly change that dynamic a lot.
It makes him a lot more sympathetic.
Yeah. For better or worse.
Yeah.
I still can't, like, wrap my head around this juxtaposition that's supposed to be here, but I'll talk about that later. So, Anna comes back to Seattle, and then they have the Thomas Tallis sex scene where she's blindfolded and tied to the bed. There's, like, a really shitty slow-mo effect that they do whenever, like, she experiences a moment of pleasure. It, like, the frame rate slows down.
Yeah. God, it was so bad. I think that was probably... I guess they did it when they were editing. I thought that was just, for the trailer, but it was in the movie.
Yeah, that was so dumb.
So that's so bad. Like, because it was so in contrast to the other sex scenes.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like it's like a metonym for her orgasming, because at no point in this movie does she explicitly orgasm. Like, there was nothing like that.
Oh, I also have a question, because I missed most of the earlier sex scene. I was out of the room. The play scene were the various positions and the bondage things that they were doing, were those like regular edits, like hard cuts, or were they dissolves?
They were hard cuts.
Because in this scene, all of the cutting is dissolves. Like, it's all like,
yeah, it feels a lot like dreamier.
Yeah, it's much more obviously supposed to be like, I'm blindfolded and this is so sensual and all these things are happening to me and I'm overwhelmed and like things are bleeding into each other, as opposed to like, up, sex over here, sex doing this, sex. So like,
yeah. I have something to ask Charity. Were the knots correct? Remember when we watched the trailer and we were like, nah.
They were not what I thought they were from the trailer. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but it didn't seem like the type that would tighten.
Yeah, it seemed like it was correct.
I would like to know what that knot is. I don't know what it was, but it had more loops, I guess, than just like a simple, put it through the loop.
There was the
probably some sort of
what do they call that? It's like the simple cuff where you make the sub hold part of it. Like, he was having her do that. I don't remember if it was this scene or not, though.
Single column?
Yeah.
Or double? In the first playroom scene, it was a double column tie.
Yeah.
But that's not what this was. Something different. Some sort of hitch.
This is an interesting choice, and I guess it makes sense, but the way that they actually did the whatever choral music they were using, was it actually the Thomas Tallis piece? I don't remember. It had more instrumentation, I think, than the Thomas Tallis piece that I listened to.
I feel like it wasn't. But or they strategically picked like a part of the song that works.
Yeah, they picked something that I didn't hear when I was listening to it. But anyway, interestingly, it starts with the music on, and it's unclear if it's diegetic or non-diegetic. We as the readers know that it's probably diegetic, but to the audience,
she doesn't have like headphones or anything in.
Yeah, to the audience, it just appears like really dramatic music over a sex scene.
Yeah, like to me, it didn't feel diegetic at all.
Yeah, it totally seemed like it was non-diegetic. Oh yeah, this also, right before the scene, was where, I mean, I noticed it before, but it was a little more obvious because of some of the shots they used, when they first get to his apartment. His apartment has this, like, woods theme going on, and I wonder if it's supposed to be, like, a very obvious, like, a much less artfully handled version of what they did in Black Swan and have done in a few other movies, where you have like a woods motif that's supposed to be like, the dark woods, the scary woods, like the lair of the wolf.
Yeah, I bet it is just like that.
Yeah, because that happens in Black Swan when Natalie Portman's character goes to like the like director's apartment. It's like it's very obvious that he's supposed to be like a wolf in the woods,
like a predator,
prey on Little Red Riding Hood.
So the slow-mo is really shitty, but I really like the vlogger. It's very pretty and interesting looking. It's got these twists in it. It's very cool.
Intricate. I like it too. I was gonna ask you to maybe either confirm or deny. I felt like he was too gentle with that vlogger. Like, it's okay to start out that way, but it just felt like very like whap.
I mean, it's like hard to tell what he was, because it was in slow-mo a lot of the time, but I mean, he was bringing it back. And also, if he's if Anna doesn't like being hurt and he's not trying to hurt her in this
but that
instance,
wouldn't hurt like at all. Like, and I was assuming that the scene that I was watching was not in slow motion. Like, when I saw him doing it, like, yeah, he would like wind up, but then he would like very slowly bring it down.
I mean,
which is okay to start.
It depends on what he's trying to do. If he wants to, make it really intense, or if he thinks that, it's for someone who's never been flogged before.
Yeah.
If he wants to be more gentle and just like introduce it more slowly to her.
I just feel like it doesn't build. Like, he does it like 3 times. Like, it's just like, whap.
Also, he's doing it on her stomach, which is not a typical flogging.
Yeah, because...
I mean, you usually do it on the back, and you can do it really hard on the back.
Yeah, it's too soft on the
stomach. I don't know about I don't think you would want to do it very hard on the stomach.
But, like, it's just strange. Like, he just didn't work it up. And it was just like, okay, like, it was like a side note. Like, I feel like for someone with a fetish, wouldn't he emote slightly when he was doing that and not just, like...
Well, I mean, that's not what he wants to do. He wants to really hurt her like he does later.
Yes.
He's not trying to hurt her in this
But
part.
he's not trying to build it at all. Like,
no, he's not. He's not trying to.
No, I understand you. I'm just saying, like, don't we all think this scene would be more effective if he used it as more of a logical building? So, like, he doesn't have to go all the way. That's not what I'm saying. But if there's like a progression from like point A, I do a little, to point B, I do slightly more, and then we fuck.
I mean, that's what he does. He, like, drags it over her, then he hits her, then they fuck.
Yeah, but that's like 2 things. Like, I would want to see...
That's what you said.
I know, but I need more. Like, I don't... It should be like, drag, hit a little bit, hit more, and then fuck. And I don't feel like he hit more.
So what you're saying is you wanted the sex scene to be longer.
I mean, we never see him hitting her.
No, we don't.
We never see the...
Sorry, I mean flogging her. I'm sorry, that's what I meant.
Flogging her. We never see the flogger make contact with her. So I feel like they did that specifically so you don't feel bad if you don't like that sort of thing.
You think that's maybe why I feel a little bit like nothing was going on here?
Yeah, because, I mean, because they needed to juxtapose that with the brutal scene.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense, and I'm pleased with that explanation.
Christian broods by the piano. Mm-hmm. It's very darkly lit. He's like being a real fucking mopey.
Yeah, he is.
Like, he's like, and it comes over, he's like, why is everything you play so sad? He's like, he just keeps playing.
And she's like, can it be you learned the piano to, like, please your parents, like the armchair psychiatrist thing? And he's like...
I think she said that in the book, too, doesn't she?
Does she?
I don't remember
that.
No,
I don't think so.
I think at some point she says something like... Oh, I think she narrates that to her in her head, herself in her head, where she's like, he must have learned to play the piano to, like, fit in with his perfect family.
Yeah, I think so. And then they start arguing about...
Yeah. I was talking to my friends and I got, like, really riled up and I was like, if he had just said, I have a fetish, that would be the end of the conversation. But he never says that. He says, I just do! Like...
Well, it's because he... Oh, we've talked about this before.
Yeah, I suppose we have. I mean, yeah, there's...
About, like, if he was going to be truthful, like, he knows where the fetish comes from. It's from his mother being beat with the belt.
So he thinks that's where it comes from. And yeah, maybe. But, like, that's, like, a gross oversimplification of something that doesn't necessarily have, like, causation. Does that make sense?
But, I mean, if he thinks that, then I would understand why he wouldn't want to say that.
Oh, I see that. But you can't even... I mean, that's such an easy way to diffuse a situation. He just doesn't do it.
Yeah, I guess I think that if he were to say that, Anna wouldn't accept that. I think she'd be like, well, then that's too bad. You don't get to engage in your fetish. Anyway, so then this is where he says the line, because I'm 50 shades of fucked up.
Yeah.
I was hoping for like the audience bursting into applause at that point.
Yeah, I think people were like, in my audience.
Because it was really poorly delivered.
Yeah.
Like, he just is like, I'm 50.
I think they wanted to understate it because it sounds so stupid.
Yeah.
So they go into the red room again, and he hits her with the belt real hard 6 times.
Yeah, let's talk about this scene. This scene affected me the most out of anything in the movie. Like, he looks like a satanic slave driver, and there's almost no emotion in his face, but, like, it's a really intense, like, interaction. Like, remember, okay, I was just complaining about the previous scene where he doesn't seem to be hitting her. Like, he's hitting her in that scene, and no build-up.
Yes.
And, like, I think you're supposed to read this as him being, like, really turned on, and it's, like, lit from the bottom, and, like, it just goes from him looking like Satan to her just, like, being, like her face is all squashed up on the table, and she's, like, and she's just really quiet, reacting really passively, except for, like, going on her tippy toes during the last bits, and there's, like, like, this awful church music, like, going on in the background. It is, like, a horror movie. Like, it's just so weird.
I'm sorry. I'm just imagining, like, what this was like sitting in the front row. Like...
Yeah, like, I mean, that may have been a
It's
large
like
part
from
of it.
mid-theater, it was like pretty boring, but like from front row, it must have been just like overwhelming.
Yeah, it was. Well, that's probably why I was so affected by this, because it was like...
This is also where the only the canted camera angle was in the scene. It was after the first hit. I think the second hit, there was a canted camera angle from looking back from Anastasia's face back towards Christian behind her, and it was canted.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Jamie, there is some like extremely like overwrought reaction from JB Dorman. Like he'll hit her and they'll be like, ugh.
Yeah, it's more, but it's like really, but he's like keeping a calmish face. He's just like, and he just like hits her. Like, it's weird.
I don't know if it's. I mean, it's definitely supposed to be like him, like receiving some sort of catharsis.
That's the thing, and like I have to read that as sexual because it's BDSM. Like, because why else is he doing it then? Oh, it's just weird. I don't know, but like that. Yeah, this scene really stuck with me. It's very impactful, and it even more so sitting in the front row.
There are some furry tails in the background.
I didn't know. Are you sure they're not like bunny thing floggers? Like,
I believe they're supposed to be bunny floggers, but
they look like furry
they
tails.
have little white
They
tips
look like wolf tails
on
and
them.
stuff.
They look like wolf tails.
Oh,
and they might be butt plugs.
Uh-oh. Guess Christian's
And I kind
into
of
some
hope
other
that they are.
things. He's into that. That's cute.
He's a secret furry.
I guess
in
it could
addition to BDSM.
It could be for pet play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Absolutely. Doesn't have to be furries. What is Fusob?
Fucked up son of a bitch.
Oh, she doesn't say you are one fucked up son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. But what she does say, she like gets up and she's like, "Don't touch me!" Like it's, I don't know, and like she's like holding herself. Like they don't focus on her naked body in the same way. It's like,
Yeah.
it's really interesting and impactful.
Actually, I have a question related to the lack of fucked up son of a bitch line. Do they say fuck at all in the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, holy fuck.
She says, okay,
Yeah,
she says
when
holy.
Christian shows up.
Yeah,
That's, I think, the only time she says a holy.
Oh,
Yeah.
he also goes like, "I don't make love. I fuck."
hard.
Fuck. Hard.
Okay.
I can't believe we didn't mention that. That
Yeah,
was
I
so
can't
silly.
either. It was bad. Oh, and her response is like,
Because they already had the R rating, and there's not that much swearing in the book anyway, but I was curious about how...
There's a lot of swearing in the book.
Well,
She,
Yeah, there were.
she says holy shit and holy fuck to herself a lot.
honestly, it's not that much compared to like how much people talk, but like...
Yeah. Anna storms off. Christian is covered in glycerin, which is what they use to simulate sweat because it clings. It forms beads of like that cling to the skin rather than just sliding off like water would.
He's like so sweaty, unbelievably sweaty, which makes sense as the flames of hell were licking up his feet or whatever. Apparently,
Then she goes to her sub room.
yeah, and she's just crying.
And
he comes in and he's like, he says something, and she goes, "You'll never do that to me again." I never remember her saying that in the book.
She does not. I looked. She doesn't say that.
I felt like that was amazing. I love that line.
Yeah, I think that was. She's seems like a lot more in control of her destiny.
Yeah.
In this book. I mean, in this movie.
Yeah.
Than she is in the book. She's much more active, not in sex scenes, but just like
As herself, as a person.
As a person, yes.
Right. She's not characterized as a literal child. From the very beginning, she responds like an adult to things. Or like not an adult, but like
Chad said that. Yeah, Chad had a different opinion from when I talked to him yesterday.
Yeah,
right?
I think that her acting is bad and makes her seem very like child-ish. Like
yeah, but that's the thing. Like she is childish, but she's not like a literal powerless child. That's kind of what I'm trying to say.
That's true. Yeah, she has more power, and like more control over herself.
Yeah, she has a lot more autonomy. Like that just alone makes such a huge difference.
But still,
yeah,
like the imbalance is strong, and Christian's behavior is abusive, and
yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just like very minor improvements to make it less horrible.
When a bunch of other people looked at this, they thought, we should change it.
Yeah.
When it went through the hands of editors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. As far as like the literal child stuff goes, like whimsical, sort of like silly, immature, like I feel like that's more like just the treatment women get in society, like in movie roles. You know what I mean? Like Charlie
Tango only shows up once.
Yeah, the balloon.
Yeah.
She doesn't crumple crying on the balloon like she does in the book.
And that balloon doesn't look anything like Charlie Tango. It's like a military airlift helicopter.
I can't wait for the next movie where Christian finds it under her pillow. I would really like to see them act that scene.
See, I don't think they will, though.
No, they'll probably cut it.
Because of the way because they have to cut it because of all that they cut out in this movie.
Isn't that a
She's
sex
not
scene,
childish
though?
enough. Is it?
I think isn't that before sex scene? When he's like at her apartment and finds the thing on the Charlie Tango flattened out under her pillow.
Right.
Is that before a sex scene?
I don't know. Probably. I think that's when they cook and fuck.
Okay, yeah.
And ice cream is put in a vagina.
Gross.
No.
All right.
Okay, so here's the exchange that summarizes my whole problem with their dynamic. Anna says, I'm not what you want. Christian says, no, you're everything I want. Anna says, I've fallen in love with you. Christian says, no, you can't love me. That just doesn't it doesn't fit together.
No.
Like, you can't say you're everything I want.
And then say you can't fall in love with me.
Love has nothing to do with what we're talking about here.
What a idiot.
I mean, maybe it's maybe I'm unable to separate romance from sexuality, but it just doesn't.
No,
I can't. It doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. Yeah, because if he's using wanting in the sense of like the interpersonal want and not the lust want, like that doesn't make sense.
By the way, she doesn't get a BlackBerry in this movie.
No,
she keeps her little black flip phone.
Yeah, it's cute.
The next morning, she puts her car keys and her laptop down on the table, and she's like, I'd like my car back. And he's like, Taylor already sold it. I'd like the money. He'll send a check. And then she leaves. And then...
he tries to run after her, and she goes, no!
Yeah.
And he stops.
That was pretty interesting.
That was wonderful.
But then they kind of ruined it. I don't know how else they would have ended it, though. It's such a fucking weird ending.
Yeah.
But, like, she says no. And then the elevator door is closing. He says, Anastasia. And she says, Christian. And then the elevator closes and the screen goes dark. Everyone in the movie started being like, and then the credits roll and everyone was like, what? In my screening, at least.
Yeah, in our screening, everybody was like, oh! And then when the ladies in the background who were talking a lot got up, they were like, sometimes you just gotta leave. You just gotta go.
Yeah, this is
like it was really funny.
This is another scene, like, choice in the movie that really emphasizes, like, the fact that this is intended for people that have read the books. Because, like, this movie doesn't make any fucking sense if you haven't read the book. It just, like, is this incoherent, weird. Like, montage of scenes.
I mean, it really highlights just how weird, shitty place this is to end the first book.
Yeah, like I've never seen a movie end like that. I was talking about this to Chad. Usually if a movie ends abruptly like this, and I believe, Chad, the example you brought up was Kill Bill, where it's like, your daughter's still alive! Dun, dun, dun! And like it's over. In that case, a new conflict is being introduced. It makes sense because the audience is like, oh, what happens next? And of course they're going to come back and watch the movie. But here, the initial conflict is completely wrapped up because they've gone through it. Obviously it's too much. He's asking for too much and she's going to go. And she was very hardcore. Sorry, not hardcore. She was very hardline about saying, you will never do that to me again. She says, like, no to him when he tries to get her. Like, to me, that's very cut and dry, regardless of what happens in the next two books.
In the books, it's much more, like, they talk about, like, she's like, I don't want to go. He's like, I don't want you to go. But she's like, I have to. In this one, it's very much, she does not want to interact with him anymore.
Yeah, she doesn't want to stay whatsoever.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
This is dumb. I noticed, I had a small optical illusion happen when she comes in that room where the piano is, and also his, like, weird little wood table.
Did you think that there was a counter and there wasn't?
No, I thought that the table was like a rug and there was like a big bowl on it, and I thought it was like a dog water bowl, and I was like, what's that there for?
Oh, okay. I had a different one.
Really? What was it?
Yeah, I thought there was like a line in the floor that I thought was the edge of a counter, and I thought she was going to go over and put the stuff on the counter.
Oh.
But she put the stuff on the table instead. I was like, whoa.
Wow, that's creepy.
And I wonder if they sort of resolved this like they did because they might not get to make the next two
That's
movies.
what I feel like.
Yeah.
But that's such a strange thing.
Yeah,
like,
well, it is.
Well, it sort of wraps up the emotional turmoil of their relationship in a nice bow. Like,
But yeah, I mean, you never see anything like that. That's not how anything ends, unless it's like an indie art film.
Yeah,
Even they don't
that
do
is
that
how it
shit.
felt.
I've been trying to think of examples because I know I've seen the same sort of like abrupt ending before, but I can't think of any off the top of my head.
As you think of it, bear with me, and you can tell me if you think my reasoning is wrong. But like, I feel like this sort of reaction, like where she's like right after she's like, "You'll never do that to me again." These two scenes, these couple scenes, I feel like that is absolution for maybe some of the women in the audience who like this kind of thing, but do not see themselves or don't want to see themselves as without autonomy, because that break was completely facilitated by her. He tries to get in the way, but he can't. Like, he's not in control in this scene. That feels good.
I think I wonder if that's intentional, though.
Maybe.
I think that, yes, that is true, but I don't know if it's intentional.
If not intentional,
it might be.
then... Well, what do you think the intention might have been?
To wrap this up in a way that it can not have a sequel if it can't have a sequel.
Okay, I see. That's really interesting.
But if that is the case, then it's a failure as a movie, I think.
I agree.
I mean, just because it doesn't follow any conventions, and that's fine. But it's just so strange.
Yeah, well, the pacing doesn't follow any conventions is the problem. Like, you could easily have a storyline like this, but it's just that it's not wrapped up in the...
It's not even establishing a new convention. It's just like a mess.
A mess, yes. It's just a mess. Like, it's like we were saying in the book, like, this sort of writing might be cool if you were, like, an experienced writer and, like, you were experimenting, but this is just, like, somebody who's so inexperienced that they just write like this.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the movie.
So... your final thoughts? My final thought. Every change made from the book is a huge improvement. Still a confusing mess of a movie.
What's your X out of 5 rating for stars?
2.
2 stars out of 5?
Yeah.
Would you recommend someone else to see it?
No. There's no point.
What gets it the extra star?
I mean, maybe it's just because I had such low expectations. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed some of the dialogue a little bit.
Yeah. I understand. I was just curious.
And I did like Dakota Johnson's acting. I have to say, I liked her a lot.
Chad, what are your final thoughts? And what is your star rating? And would you recommend others to see it?
I would strongly not recommend others to see this movie. There is absolutely no reason to see it. I don't know. I guess I'm inclined to give it a 2-star rating, but I'm probably more like a 1 star because I don't feel like this doesn't bring anything to the table, period. Like, if there's no reason to see the movie, there's no reason to give it even a middling rating. Like, it's super mediocre, but not the sort of mediocre that's like, that makes you feel like you're actively wasting your time. I mean, you're not going to feel like you spent your time wisely after seeing this movie, but you're not going to be like, while you're watching it, you're not necessarily going to be like, oh, why am I doing this to myself? You'll just be like, this is boring. Like, I agree that the changes from the book improved a lot of things. Let me think. Do I have any real...
And it really is like that multiple people looked at this and said, this is not fit for mass consumption. We have to work on this.
I am really interested to know what the disagreements that like the full story of the production of this movie, like the disagreements between the director and E.L. James, and like how the relationship between Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, and like how difficult it was to make this for all those parties and other people.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of press recently about like Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan hating each other, and I don't think they hate each other. I think they're just tired of working together on this. Like, I think they're just tired of being around each other.
I think they had no initial spark either.
Yeah, I mean, they don't like. I think they seem like the sort of people that could like develop a professional friendship, but I don't think that they really seem like they have that much in common. And like,
yeah, that's how I feel about them too.
They obviously don't have any chemistry either romantically or sexually on screen, and I don't know. I hope that it doesn't make a lot of money, but it sounds like it's going to from this weekend, at least from this weekend.
Yeah, I was surprised at how hard it was to get seats.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked by that at all, unfortunately. Okay, well, my final thoughts. That was a movie. It probably wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. Indeed, there even seemed to be certain parts of the movie that felt validating for somebody who has been forced to podcast about these books for more than 72 hours in a row. So, like, from that point of view, it felt good. And it felt good that, like you guys said, other people looked at this and they said, whoa, no. And they changed a lot of stuff about it. So it just feels like good validation that, like, from a sociological, logical standpoint, like, nobody thinks that's okay. So that gives me a little bit of hope. However, not that much. I feel like there were the things that I was expecting this movie to be, as far as, like, the imposition on, like, the image of, like, what a woman is, that thankfully did not rise to my expectation, which was going to be very negative. I thought that, like, a lot of really awful things were going to happen, and everybody in the audience would be like, this is cool. This is rape, but it's cool. Like, because that's how I feel like the book was received, and that really deeply troubles me, like, a lot. So I know it's weird that, like, the first thing I jumped to is, like, what's going to be the mass impact of this movie? And I think it's like my mom said, I think a lot of people are going to look at this and then they're not going to ask women what they think. They're just going to look at media and say, oh, this is what women like. So as far as it reinforces those things, I'm extremely disappointed. But as far as it does not reinforce those things, I think as sort of, like, basic and pretty sort of not very hardcore that the BDSM was, like, that was a sort of okay introduction. Consent was never an issue. They always inserted it into scenes, even when those scenes were really creepy, like him showing up out of nowhere. And that was, like, essential. Like, that they had those in there is probably the only saving grace of the movie that the book does not have. So that's kind of how I feel. I'm never going to stop thinking about that last scene because it creeps me out so weirdly. The weird satanic Jamie Dornan. And I'm almost certain when he's, you know, that one interview he has where he's like, I'm a dad, what am I doing? Like,
yeah,
that's what he's talking about.
What's your star rating? My
star rating is 1.5 stars out of 5. Because 1.5 stars is as much as I can give a movie that has somehow managed to improve what was a truly shitty and torturous book to read through. Like, I just, like, the 1.5 stars, like, the validation I received from other people passively reinforcing that it was shitty. Thank God. Would I recommend someone else to see it? If you too have had a podcast, if you too have been forced to suffer through these books, and you were uncomfortable with aspects of those books where non-consent was involved, go see this movie. You'll feel a little bit better about it because you'll realize our society is not all about the fucking dehumanization of females. It is, but it isn't. So, cool, dude. No, I'm not going to recommend you to see it unless it's that one situation.
We've done it.
We've done it. We saw the movie.
This is like the climax of our podcast, pretty much. When we first started, we're like, they're making a movie, we got to see it.
Yeah.
Now we have, and
now the denouement is going to be the third book, and that is actually quite fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for over a year.
We have.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Because the year was back in, like, November or something.
Yeah, the year was November.
Oh my god.
I forgot.
If only we had 52 episodes to show for it.
Oh my god. If we had 52 episodes worth of 50 Shades of Grey, I would...
Well, then we'd be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, unless we were still going chapter by chapter.
Yeah, but we're not. Yeah.
But anyway, sorry about the delays. We're all very busy, and it's extremely hard to get us together.
It's also extremely hard to make us read this shit.
Yeah, no kidding.
Seriously. So, yeah, laters, baby.
Laters, baby! Don't go see this. Oh, they said it in the movie, and it was excruciating.
It was pretty underplayed. Alright.
Bye!